What's up? It's your boy Carcino, and here it is, the ultimate, hardest selection we have on file for Album vs. Album, Volume 16. Black Moon, Enter the Stage versus Mobb Deep the Infamous. Woo! I would hate to be a judge on this one. Anybody who remembers this, like if you're young, you probably don't understand. We get it. But for those who are of age and know better, you know how powerful these two albums were in your growing up, and how hard and difficult of a selection it is to make on this album. Havoc from Mobb Deep was even on Into the Stage. On that You the Man, the last song they got on there with Smith and Wesson and all them on the album. When Black Moon set out to do this, it was sporadic because Buckshot was going to be an individual artist by himself. Buckshot Shorty, you know, and when he did Who Got the Props, that basically led the way for the album to be made. Because there was no album in play when they did Buckshot Shorty, like Who Got the Props. That was like the filler album, like, look, we put out this single for an album that may never come out. So it ended up being the lead single because the beat was so dope. With Drew Hop back there making these tracks, it was like, woo, okay, that's the heat. So with all of this in play, they actually got a business deal with Drew Hop when they made Duck Down Management. Him and Drew Hop, they split it 50-50. They both ran it. Buckshot is 18 years old. So when they putting these artists together and making the album, people just like, oh, you know, like, okay, that's Buckshot. He don't know what he doing. Little kid, you know, got his little label management. But he was like, no, I'm a real manager. You know, like, give me my respect. I ain't just some shorty out here, you know, doing this. You know, I'm actually, you know, responsible. I know what I'm doing. Me and Drew High, you know, we work hand in hand. So by him being Buckshot Shorty, he decided to take the name Shorty off. Strictly Buckshot, no more Shorty. So people would start taking him seriously. So he had a chip on his shoulder going through dealing with the management and the companies and record executives, like taking him seriously. So he had a chip on his shoulder when he was in the studio and in the booth. And it showed and reflected in his work. He was angry. Like that niggas talk it, you know, and that was venomous. So Who Got the Props don't really fit the timeline with the rest of the other songs. But Act Like You Want It, you know, Buckshot did about like 8-9 songs or maybe more by itself. And like, people gonna think about the video, I Got You Open. And what happened was, the album didn't have any singles. Once the album was out and people was buying it, like, all these singles, we can't really put these out and make a video with them. So they made a remix to I Got You Open with the Very White. But it's not on the album. So I can't use that song and compare it on the Infamous. I gotta use the I Got You Open that's on the album. That's like me using Who Do You Love? Oh, you for sure. The remix when I'm comparing the LL album for Loungin'. I gotta use the Loungin' that's on the album. Because after all, this is album versus album. So listening to this, how many MCs, Buck 'em Down, You know, the Buck 'Em Down version, the same thing happened. They remixed Buck 'Em Down and made a nice video that a lot of people didn't even see. Like BET barely played the Buck 'Em Down, even though they made it smooth. You know, some more smooth, and he changed his flow to how he did on I Got You Open, because on the album it's real angry and vicious. Even Buck 'Em Down is a vicious. Buck 'em down, 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 buck 'em down. Word like he's an individual in sight. You know, it's Buck 'Em Down, but if you listen to the video version, buck 'em down, buck 'em down, buck 'em down. It's what we do, buck 'em down. Word like each and individual in sight. It's like my cousin was like, I love it for I Got You Open, but don't change your whole style to this. You know, he loved this album, so to him this was no Buckshot, don't do it. So so into the stage go the production, Evil D, the B Miners, you know, they kept coming with that heat. Like, you like, where are these beats coming from? Like, where are they finding these samples? And it wasn't some of the samples that's on the album that you hear a lot of. It was all different. And it was all young, hungry people, Smith and Wesson. These guys was 18, 19, and this is back at the time when the West Coast was ruling. You know, if it wasn't Dre or Snoop, people didn't really want to deal with it. If they had that West Coast sound, they were bringing the East Coast back from the underground up. You know, like, we gonna keep it gutter, we gonna keep it NY, we gonna keep it the way it is. We ain't finna conform. And that album was no conformity whatsoever. Now, when they made the remix to I Got You Open and all that stuff, then people was vibing, they could ride to that. But the album? Are you kidding me? This is one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. It's definitely in the top 50. Might be in the top 25. Now, let's go into the Infamous. The Infamous, Mobb Deep. This was the growth album. You know, when you got Mobb Deep and all that stuff, you're looking at the growth of an artist. So when you see Mobb Deep, you go, oh, okay. They had already had their debut album already displayed on the public eye, you know, with the Juvenile Hell. So they put that out during the same time with I Got You Open, you know, Into the Stage. But after that, they basically saw how it should go. Listening to that format, like, wow. That's a monster album. That's how our album should have been. And actually, P stepped his lyrical game up so much that it was incredible jump from Juvenile Hell. And it was like they last gas. It's like, well, if we don't hit it coming out the bank with this one, we done. So when Shook Ones came out, being hard the way it was, it just shook up the world. I said, woo, woo. I mean, Shook Ones Part 2, that was it. People didn't even remember Part 1 because Part 2 was so hard. And it just stopped. And it was like, whoa, I thought it was going to get. I'm like, what? That was the best part of that beat. Like, it started the beat, then it stopped and went right back to the beginning again. I'm like, oh, what is this? Oh, no. They just hit it right. We got the stuck off the rhythms. We be in it. You heard of us. Offensive Green Bridge Murder. I'll say, woo, they are hitting this track. Who is this? Mobb Deep. And oh my goodness. And that wasn't even the song that everybody played to death. Survival of the Fittest. That video was played by every thug. The video, everybody in request, everywhere. Only the strong survive. We in this to the way we die. Survival of the Fittest, only the strong. Everybody wanted to get the click, the tattoos. Everybody wanted, man, that's the way our clique should be. But man, goodness, what you got the album though. The very first song. The start of your ending. Where P put everything to shame. It was over. From that first song. The start of your ending. I used to have a hack in the Mac engine. Had to blow up the box with crack militancy. To blow up the whole infamous son grew up to be murderers and terrorists. That's me. Accompanied by the cognac. If it ain't me, somebody else from the crew can get. We do damage to limbs. And 91 stomping you out in Black Town. That was me in the HJVOC from the QBC. Putting cows where they supposed to be. If I don't know your face, it don't come close to me. I got too much beef for that. Drama in the third degree, and if the kids, you don't want to be me. I'm growing up in mixed actions with people trying to kill me. But it's the start of your ending. My man's Linden, me his Linden. 42 shots depending on whether or not the clip is full to the top. We blazing caps, non-stop blazing at all the shows and even at the hoes. No. Man, how many times did we play that verse? We like play that back. Man, up north trip. This album related to everybody, everywhere. This wasn't just some hip hop stuff. This was some hip hop gangster stuff, street stuff. It was like, man, I feel them. Eye for an eye, your beef is mine. I'm telling you, it was just drink away the pain with Q-Tip. Man, right back at you with Ghost. Come on, man. The production out this world. They even had they had to give up the goods. Then they had the beat with LL for the pink cookies. That joint. Temperatures rising, man. Trife Life. Man, there's so many hits. There's so many hits. I can't even go into all the songs. But I mean, there it is. It's laid out. My choice, if I gotta make a pick, I'm going with the Infamous. I felt more of an impact from the Infamous than I did from Into the Stage. Into the Stage was out. I still was like, man, this is a dope hip hop album. Like, I could play that and it's dope. But when I Got You Open came out, the remixes and stuff, those was hot too. But people wanted to hear more of that style. And it was just relatable mostly to hip hop and all the lyrics and everything else. And then that was that. This was some darker, more gangsters album of all time. This was some like, look, man, this is some crew. This is a crew album. If I ever seen it, like, I'm down with my crew. This is it. It's me and my crew against the world. That's it. That's the Infamous. So it's a tough decision, but to make. Believe me, both albums are in the. Infamous is in the top 25. I know that, without a doubt. But y'all gotta make y'all choice, y'all selections. I definitely want to hear y'all out. So younger people, go listen to the albums, then make your comparisons. If you never heard of them, I know some of them will be like, that was before I was born. I understand that. Or you were probably 2 years old. I understand that too. Go ahead and check the albums out. Let me know what you thought which one was best. I'm out.